being a woman in the world is a challenge. Okay. And even though it's the 2020, having rights to your body, to having your own money, to having your own place is still a fight. And one of the biggest champions for gender rights in America, I would even say in human history, was the notorious. I love that they named after Biggie. Notorious RBG. Okay, so that's Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She is or was a Supreme Court Justice. She was the second woman to be appointed to the highest court in the land. And she fought for us. She did. This is Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire, and I welcome you to Hot Mess Millionaire. So please feel free to tag, share, post, do your thing. Subscribe to Hot Mess Millionaire, so that you don't miss out. This is an interesting conversation because I, as a black woman, did not have a lot of information about Justice Ginsburg until recently. Okay, because I wasn't even into politics. I was just trying to be an artist. I was trying to be an artist. I was trying to express myself. And as when everything went down with George Floyd, everything shifted. It's like the world tilted on its axis. And by the way, they're trying to say that he wasn't murdered; he died because of a drug overdose. You'll hear about it when I happen it. But when he was executed publicly in front of the world, it shifted me, and I purposely chose to put all my platforms for social justice, specifically with the police killing black people, specifically black men. And so the more and more I got into that, the more I had to study white supremacy and really just look at what the hell is going on. All right. And so I have, and I'm being with, how can I say this? That as a black woman, I've taken a lot for granted. I take for granted that I can have my name on my own checks, that I can have my own bank account, that I can buy my own car without my husband or my father signing for me. I can choose to, if I wanted to, have an abortion or not, or adoption. I could choose that. I could choose to drive a car. I am not kidding you. And these are the kinds of rights that Justice Ginsburg fought for us. And as black women, we don't talk about that. At least I didn't. And if you did, I'm happy for you. But I'm really interested in what rights will we fight for? So I identify as a black woman. I'm black before I'm anything else. That's how I identify. That's my politic. That's who I am. And I love being black. I love being a black woman. To me, it's the best thing since pockets. I'm not suggesting it's easy, but I love us, right? And I'm also a womanist. I was, and I traffic in queer theory like it's nobody's business. All right. So everything about me is rooted in race. Okay. Now that doesn't mean I don't love on everybody else, but I'm what people would call a racialist. I see things through race. Okay. That's not the same as a racist, a racialist. And so, and that's a official term, okay? Kwame Appiah, he's the one who coined it. But I love feminism, but I have problems with it because of the racism inside of feminism. I mean, I know the story, right? Sojourner Truth, I think it was the Cedar Falls Convention. I don't want to mess up the date. Early 1900s. And white women were fighting for their rights to vote. They were trying to get the vote on, right? And she stood up, and she was there for abolition. She was there for race, right? But anyway, bottom line is She fought for white women to have the right to vote. That ain't our woman speech that gets circulated all the time. She was advocating for white women to have the right to vote. And she did it brilliantly. She went back to the Bible. She talked about Eve turning the world upside down. Then these women could turn the world right side up. I mean, she did that. And at the same time, they did not want her on their platform because they thought that if they had a black woman on their platform, it would nullify, it would block the white women from having a vote. So they silenced her. And that pissed me off for about 2 decades. Okay. So I got really mad with feminism because of the racism inside of it. Now, there are different strands inside of feminism. There really, really are. And there's black feminism. Okay. But I like womanism. That's from Alice Walker. It's the intersectionality of sex, gender, race, and class. She accounts for all of it. Okay. Not just gender. Now, I know that I'm a woman, a natural born woman, if that, for all of us who are into trans things. I know I have a vagina, all right? And I could never equate my selfhood with my vagina because my race is so loud. People see my race before they see my gender, in my experience, okay? And because they see my race, I have had more experience with racism than I have with gender. Now, to be fair, gender and race, they're bedfellows, okay? Because patriarchy, men doing some men stuff, all right? Because they man, because they have a penis. God bless us. Help me, Jesus. Help me, Lord. Help me not curse. So, I'm trying, God. I'm trying. So, all my Christians have prayed for me, okay? So, what I'm really contending with is, as a black woman who has a lot of experience dealing with racism, and also historically how white women, in terms of feminism, have ostracized us, have penalized us, have left us out, have been awful to us. I've been fighting with feminism for a while, since 2090, 1990, all right, 1994, when I did my first master's degree. And I've never forgiven feminism for their racism. I never did. I didn't. I'm still mad about it, right? And so I kind of shut down feminism, okay? Because I knew in my lived experience that what people were going to see first was a black woman. They didn't see woman who's black, right? They didn't see my gender first. They saw my race first, and they made decisions on that that had to do with my money, my access, my resource, and my ability to be successful in this country. Okay. And so I chose race, right? And I chose it with a full body yes. And as I've grown and matured and the world has changed, I realized a couple of things. Okay. And I want you to walk this out with me in your real life. Okay. Everybody is oppressed. Everybody is oppressed, including white women. Now, you may know this, you may not know this, but it's important to note that the first slaves in North America were white women. They got tricked to come to this country for education, but they were brought here to get married and settle and make babies. And that wasn't a choice. Do you see what I'm saying? They tricked white women to get on a boat from England to come over here thinking they're going to get an education, and then they got to shack up with this boy they don't even like and have babies. That was the first. They were the first slaves. We don't talk about that because it doesn't fit into them. That doesn't fit into the meta narrative, right? But that's what happened. Read it up. Don't take my word for it. Read it, okay? And I also have to deal with that white women were married for their dowries. They weren't married. They didn't marry for love. They married some man who needed money, saddled up to her daddy and said whatever he needed to say to get her father to marry his daughter to some dude for some kind of benefit. All right. So she didn't even get to say that. She ain't no voice. She didn't get to say. And men had, and here's another thing y'all don't know. It's like 1800s. in America, by the way, America, white men had the legal right to beat, maim, and kill their white wives. I'm not kidding you. This is all part of my research for my dissertation with at Stanford. I'm telling you, it blew my mind because we never talk about that. We only talk about slave ships. We talk about lynchings, at least for me. We talk about tar and feathering. We talk about that. We don't talk about the survival of that plantation household for everybody. I'm not going to do it today, but I am going to do. Y'all should wait on this one, and I think if God let me, I'm going to do it next week. I now realize why white men are terrified of black men. I can't do it today because right now I'm on my feminist thing. But if I can get to it next week, I'm on it. But it was an environment of survival. It's an environment of survival. Okay, and so white women have been oppressed in a very different way, but no less significant than black women, black men, dare I say, even queer and gay people. The violence has been done against them as well. It's just not publicized. It's not positioned the same way. They put white women in asylums because they spoke up. They made them say, she must be crazy. That's where hysterical came from. Oh, she's crazy. Her cycle makes her crazy. Let's put her as an asylum. Let's do brain shock waves to her. I'm like, who the hell does that? White men. God help me not hate white men today. Please help me not hate white men today. Please help me. Okay, I'm back. So, sometimes I wonder. I think about Farrakhan. I think about Malcolm X, and I remember them talking about white men being the devil, and I thought they were extreme. I'm working on it, God. I'm doing my best not to be, I'm trying, y'all. Today is a rough day because white men have worked my last fucking nerve. They have worked my last nerve today because they can't even let Ruth get her body warm in the ground before Mitch and his cronies are trying to jam somebody into the Supreme Court justice seat that she just died. So my patience right now is real thin. I'm skating on ice with white men today. Okay, so I'm going to step away from that because otherwise I'm going to get hot. So I'm working on my temper. I don't know how long it's going to last. But going back to white women have been victimized, and their only ways of fighting have been acquiescing. And now here's the irony of that. Okay, here's the irony. Black women, I got so much I want to tell you. I'm trying to figure out how to say it soft. Black women have been positioned as angry. And I said position. I'm not suggesting it's true. So here's the difference. Okay, angry black woman is a position. It's not the truth of us, but that's what they say. Okay, but there's also the fragile white woman. Do you see what I'm saying? Oh, she cries. She cries like that one, right? That's a position, but it's also a strategy. I was talking to one of my friends, white woman, love her dearly. She and I were talking about white women and she's white, but she ain't white. You know what I'm saying? She's a woman who happens to be white, not a white woman. Okay. And so she and I were talking about white women, and I was saying, you don't act white. And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, you say what you mean. You talk, you speak up, you talk back. I said, this shit, you seem black to me, and so she was saying, well, that's code switching. White women know how to code switch. Now, I didn't know it was code switching. I didn't know they turned that on and off. I thought that's how they work because all of them do it that I have been involved with. All right. They get very demure. They get very confused. They get very helpless. They get very, very, it's almost like the dumb blonde thing that you hear about, but they're brilliant. I mean, and they navigate the hell out of stuff. But it's another form of code switching. Just like if you work in the corporate America as black people, we talk different. When I was Professor Reese, I did not curse. I made sure my language was clear. I did not say I dotted my I's and crossed my T's. I can slip right into Professor Reese on a dime. Okay? But that's not how I really talk. You know what I'm saying? That's my, white people are here voice. That's my white people are listening voice. You know what I'm saying? When I'm with my people, I don't give a fuck. And I play with language. I change the sounds of vowels. You see what I'm saying? Like I put in colloquialisms. I bend the words so it becomes a new word. But that's me playing with language because there's a comfort level. All right. And I never considered that white women code switch because it's so rooted in patriarchy and white supremacy. They're positioned to be seen a certain way, just like black women are positioned to be seen as non-feminine. They have us, and they had to do that because of slavery. I'm doing a course called Healing History. It's a whole nother level. But my point is this: because white women historically have had to acquiesce to stay alive, white men beat the fuck out of white women, especially poor whites. We don't talk about that. White women have been, plus they're burnt at the stake for being considered witches. They have been dunked in water for having opinions, for speaking up, for talking back. We don't talk about that, especially in the black community. And I'm not suggesting that's a bad thing. We got shit to handle. It's not a judgment. But what I'm pointing out is, as a black woman, as a queer identified black woman, all right, I am aligned with women winning. I'm aligned with each and every woman on this planet being able to have control over her womb, not a bunch of old white fucking men. They are arguing for abortion. You see what I'm saying? And they're under the auspices of God. I'm not tripping off abortion. I think a woman has a right to choose. They're saying she shouldn't. And if they get the right person in that spot that Ruth just, when she passed, that's open, they're looking for somebody who fits Trump's value system. Do you understand that? At the far right wing, they're looking for someone who's anti-gay, pro-life, anti-gay, anti-police reform, anti-Black Lives Matter, anti-civil rights. They're looking to take away Social Security. They're looking to take away. They already gutting healthcare. They're trying to set us back. Literally, gender. I'm not even gender. Back to the early 1900s, and that includes you. So your right to get contraceptives, your right to get birth control, condoms. They're trying to take that away. If you get the right person in that secret, they could. They really could. Because the Supreme Court is the highest court in the law. It supersedes all courts. Okay? And when you get enough right-wing people on it, when it comes time to vote, if it's just like the Senate. You see what I'm saying? And so then they can say what they can put into law whatever they want. And you will be surprised because you and I were never trained to look at the Supreme Court as if it had anything to do with us. We weren't even trained to look at government stuff as it had something to do with us because as poor black people, we didn't think it had nothing to do with us because we didn't think we had a voice. But we do have a voice. A voice is to vote. That's our voice. That voice sings loud and clear. Voting. I wish I could do opera. Voting is our voice. And I want you to understand the significance of the vote. It's each time I wake up between now and November 3rd, the stakes get higher and higher. You understand? I thought it was just going to be about George Floyd. I mean, now we're dealing with ISIS giving immigrants unauthorized or hysterectomies they don't want. Do you understand what that means? I want y'all to understand my logic, okay? I mean, this is how white supremacy works. They don't give a fuck about anybody who's not them, including other white people. They don't give a fuck. If you don't think like they think, they don't see you. You are now the enemy, okay? And so what they can do to a Hispanic woman, they can do to you. I don't know if you heard me yet. If they can pull Sandra Bland over for a traffic violation and 3 days later she shows up dead, hung in a cell in a jail, what do you think they could do to you? I heard a word on the street that the LA police was knocking on doors to see if people were doing their homework. That's provocation. Can you see how that works? There's this TV show called The Handmaid's Tale. I could only look at the first season because it was too real for me. It was too real. It was literally getting all the young women together to make babies and killing off everybody else that didn't fit the kind of babies they want made. And that included us. That included older women. That included women of color. It just included It included all of us in a different way in terms of gender. Okay. And you also want to think about if you have a daughter, what is she going if we don't vote, our children are going to grow up in a world where being a woman, being a girl is a detriment. Now, I'm not suggesting we don't have challenges now. We do. But I talk smack on a microphone. Okay. That couldn't have been done 50 years ago. That's because people like Justice Ginsburg fought for me. She didn't know my name. She'd never heard of me at all. But she was committed to gender equality. So I could have my own checks. So I could have my own money. So I could have my own apartment, my own home, my own house, my own mortgage without a man signing for me. And that is what, and I don't know if you really comprehend how close we are to going back to that because you never lived it. You see what I'm saying? When I got my first apartment, my mother, Nana, had to sign for me because I didn't have anything. I have no credit. You know, what's credit? Right? But, you know, if you ever had co-sign, if you had somebody co-sign for you for a car because your credit was yucky, this is the same principle. So this is a very, very masculine, patriarchal position where women don't get to have any voice in what impacts us directly. That is what this particular role, that's what this particular opportunity on the Supreme Court represents. Trump already has 2 on the Supreme Court. There are only 9. And actually there's 8 because Jesus. Our friend Mitch, God bless us, wouldn't let President Obama's candidate even get voted on. Okay, and Lindsey Graham said, "Oh, you're gonna use my words against me. It should be a person. We have to wait till after the presidency when they were dealing with Trump. Now they're reneging on all that they said, and like, oh, we need to do it now. And you see what I'm saying? Like that's white supremacy. They changed the rules that serve them, and if we don't have people in positions of power, they'll do everything they can to have us working for them for free again. And I mean that with all my heart. I'm not kidding you with this. That's how far white supremacy goes. Okay. And it's a very, I'm trying to help you see what I see, because I think you can see it as a black woman with race, with Rihanna. You see what I'm saying? I think you can see, because I can see it so clearly. Like, how come she has to die as an accident of their messed up? If a black man had accidentally killed some white people, he'd be fucking lynched. But they accidentally, oops, wrong house, oops. They can't even go to jail. I don't give a fuck about the money. I don't care about the 12 million. I don't know how her mother's going to deal with that. That's a hard thing to do. Okay. But notice how they don't take care of us. Okay. Notice how they pay us. And this is all women, but specifically black women, how they pay us, 60 cents to every dollar a white man makes. Do you understand? Notice how many black women have degrees, but we don't have high paying positions. We can get an education, but we can't make the money the way they make it unless we do our own thing. You see what I'm saying? So there's all these structures in place to keep us down with race. I don't think we look at gender. I know I didn't, because I was pissed off with feminism, and I take it back. Now, I wasn't wrong. I stand by that. And people evolve. And feminism has evolved. There's black feminism. There's international feminism. There's different strands of feminism that I can vibe with. I'm still going to go womanist on it because Alice Walker makes sense to me. But it still comes down to the equality of the sexes. Okay? And even if you're trans, that's still equality. Just because if you feel in your heart of hearts that your body doesn't match who you are, that is your right. You have the right. You have the constitutional right to call yourself, do whatever you need to do with yourself. I don't have the right to tell you no because I don't agree. That's not my right. And you want to know, white supremacy, they act like it's their right. They have the right to shoot. They have the right to not have to be punitive. I was reading today, I think Sean King posted something today around a new law being passed that the police won't go to jail for anything they did for killing anybody. And if protesters, aka black people, damage property or do something bad or do some kind of vandalizing, then the punitive consequence gets worse. It's almost like slave code. It's almost like slave laws, right? So but they're writing that law. Do you see what I'm saying? They're writing it right now. While we're talking, they are writing it because they have those people in position. What Trump has been putting people in circuit courts. He's been putting all these white right supremacists in these roles for the last almost 4 years. So it all goes in the favor of white supremacists. Does it make any sense? So we're late to the party. Okay, we're late to the party, and what we have to do is come out in numbers that cannot be ignored. Can't. And Michelle Obama said that we have to come out in numbers that can't be ignored, because it's not simply one thing anymore. It's climate control. I mean, literally, we're having tsunamis, hurricanes, and tornadoes in places we never had them before, because we can't get climate control on the agenda to be dealt with in this country. We've crossed 2 million. 2 million people infected with COVID-19. We've had over 200,000 deaths, and we have no vaccine. We have no structure in place. We have no protocol. Every state is doing their own thing, and people are dying. And here's something that I think is delicious. The countries that are ran by women, their COVID thing is gone. Wow. The women every country that I know of, I'm willing to be wrong, that's run by a woman, they handle COVID. They shut it down. Shut it down. Okay? Our country is not people in our country aren't allowed to go to the countries because we will pollute them. We have been they said, don't come here, Americans. Keep your pollutant to yourself. Okay? So what I'm pointing to is I'm expanding what I'm standing for. And I'm not suggesting I wasn't standing for it before, but I've been so focused on the police killing black men, specifically, including black women. But when George died, that changed me. I put all of my attention, all of my mental prowess on what the fuck is this, right? And so what I'm doing now is I'm standing with women worldwide for equality of the sexes. Okay? And I have to thank the notorious I love that they call it the notorious RBG, okay? Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'm probably messing up her name, right? But if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have the rights that I have. I have been with people who've had abortions, and I've sat with them, and I've been with them afterward and had to deal with their own processing of that. Do you see what I'm saying? I've had how can I say? I've benefited from welfare. I've benefited from housing. Honestly, I really have. I was on welfare, and we had the stamps. We had the books of stamps. We didn't have the card. You know what I'm saying? I had the government cheese. I mean, the civil rights bill. I've benefited. I've used all of that in my lifetime. Okay? I have used it, and that's because of her. And on the resources, you'll see I have a number of articles about the different cases, what she did, so you can understand how she has impacted your life. And she didn't even know your name as a woman. And she fought for that. And I say thank you. You know, I raise my glass to her and I thank her for this. So now I'm not. We're gonna have to fight. We're gonna have the bare knuckle brawl this one, because these white men really think they can get away with this. They think we won't come out. Do you understand? They're banking on it. This is what makes me not happy, is that they're counting on us being what they call us, lazy and trifling. That's what they're counting on. They're counting on black people not voting. They're counting on it. And because they know their people will. Okay? So, and I'm like, I want to curse and say bad things, but no, not on my watch. We're not doing it like that. We are mobilizing, we are voting, and we're getting our people to vote, because this is the time. We were born in this time. This is what I believe. Okay? And then I'll get back. I'll surrender the mic. I strongly believe that you and I were born in this moment in time to transform the world. We weren't born in the 50s. We weren't born in 2030. We were born now in a time where we can do something that our ancestors never could. The world wasn't ready, but they are now. We can move things that historically have never moved. As Black women and the brothers who love us, we can transform the world. We were born for this moment. We were born for this. We were built for this. And we just have to take it seriously in a way that is beyond what we've had to before. I didn't march in the 60s, so I don't have that. My mom, Nana, has a fervor about voting that is religious. Do you understand? It is religious. I vote because I don't want to hear her mouth. I don't want to go through it. She's 75. She's not going to come at me about all the people who died. I'm like, okay, Nana, I'm just going to go vote. All right. But she lived through those marches. She lived through those water holes. She lived through those dogs barking. She did that. That's real for her. That's not real for me. That's stuff I read in a book. Okay. But I saw George. I saw Aubrey. You understand? I saw Brianna. I saw Sandra. You know what I'm saying? I understand that because I lived that. I understand it because I lived it. And I'm not okay with it. I'm not. They don't get to do this. They don't get to do this to us. Too many people, we pay too much of a price for that, right? So I need you to understand how important you are, not just to yourself, but to all of us. I need you to actually have the people in your family register to vote. I need you to put them in your car. Drive them to the thing. Drive them to the voter thing. Have them do the hand fill out vote because we don't trust the computers because those can be manipulated. They doing some bullshit with that as well. Okay, you have to do that. You know, work a poll. You know, be there so the old people they don't get sick. It's that serious. And if we do, and I'm standing in that we do, we'll handle all of this mess. Well, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. We know we're not going out like this. So, but it takes, I don't want us to be on the other side saying, oops. Do you understand? Because the price will be too costly because of all the structures in place. They will squeeze everything so that it all works for them and nothing works for you. Okay? And I need you to hold it as a personal affront, not as a theoretical, not as a stimulus check. No, I need you to understand that as a Black woman, you're on the low part of the totem pole, boo. You're going to get squeezed first. Yes, gender, race, and class. Okay? So you need to take it even more seriously because you're vulnerable. And we didn't feel it because we were under the illusion of equality. Because as long as we did the status quo and they gave us enough to keep us satisfied and quiet, we were good. But the moment we start speaking up, they start flexing. And the way they flex is through money and violence. And what's predictable is that if we choose not to vote, we are electing a white supremacist nation by default. And I need you to understand that. So I need you to talk to people in your life. I don't doubt you. I need you to get to the people in your life and make sure if you need to have a party and pass out, bring somebody who can register people at the party. Do it at a birthday party. I don't care. But the thing is, if you don't speak up and tell them, like, look, if you're a Black woman and you want to be able to have sex, and if you want to have a baby and not have to worry about it, have contraception, you need to vote. You need to talk. You need to make it real plain. Oh, you're a Black man. Oh, you want the police to stop killing you? Oh, you want them to get jail? You want them to go to jail? Okay, you need to fucking vote. You got to talk like that. You can't talk high. You got to talk regular. Like, okay, all right. Okay, your mama got Social Security today, but she won't 2 years from now if we do not vote. That is what I'm trying to express. You got to get it in the streets. You got to get it basic. It's not highfalutin. It's basic. It's like, really, if you do not vote, you can count on your money going away, your your safety going away, and you actually being paid pennies on the dollar, if at all, or being funneled into some kind of concentration camp under the auspices that you did something wrong that they made up. Do you see what I'm saying? If they can do it to immigrants, they can do it to us, and they already have. It's got to be that basic. You have to be the voice in your influence. You have to be the voice in your family, in your church, in your sorority. And you need to verify. Look, have you registered? Here's a card. Do it now. You see what I'm saying? You got to do that. If you don't do that, we won't win. We have to show up in numbers that cannot be ignored, because they're already looking at, Trump is already talking about how he's trying to get, he's trying to rig the election. He's already saying it. He's already pointing to, we're going to get it all settled that first, that November 3rd. We're not going to have to wait a couple of weeks. Well, why are you even saying that? Normally, you see what I'm saying? Like, that strategy, they're fucking with it. Do you understand? And they're looking for a fight. They're trying to set that up. So we have to make sure that we've done everything that we humanly can to not let them win. They're not God. They're not that significant. But we have to get our confidence up, our courage up, our value up to let our voices be heard. And our voice is our vote. Okay? I'm falling back. This is Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire. I have some great resources. Please, if you were fed by this word, please share it. Please share the word. Okay. I don't know a lot of Black people who are talking like this about this. And a lot of Black people don't hear it like this about politics because it gets so high. It's too high. It's too high level for me. I need basic shit. Okay. So I'm encouraging you to please share this broadcast. How else will they get the information? Okay. I'm not going to read to you anything. Well, I'm lying. I do want to read one thing to you, and it's only because I want you to hear it. Now, Ruth was amazing. Her husband got sick. They were both at Harvard. She took notes for him and read and helped him while she had a baby. And, and they both got through school. And she graduated top of her class. She did everything right, and she still couldn't get a job because she's a woman. And they were only hiring women as secretaries. Okay, she was I was a class of 500, and she was one of 9, I think, women. Okay, so she is not a game. All right, but I just want to respect her by giving you some information about her. I don't want to do that one. So I have a series of things. Oh, I'm gonna do this one. This is from the history. This is from history.com. And it's a beautiful write-up. It's not gonna be long. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg became the second female justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. Born in 1933 in Brooklyn, New York, Bader taught at Rutgers University Law School and then at Columbia University, where she became its first female tenured professor. Yay. I'm a tenured professor. She served as the director of the Women's Rights Project of the American Civil Liberties Union during the 1970s. That's when she started doing her gender advocacy. I don't know if y'all noticed, but rape was not a violent crime because white men didn't see it as a crime. So it didn't get the significance until the 70s. And she was in that house. I don't know if she had anything to do with that directly, but she was in that house, in that fight around gender equality. Okay. And was appointed to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia in 1980. Named to the U.S. Supreme Court in 1993 by President Bill Clinton, she continued to argue for gender equality in such cases as United States versus Virginia. This is what she's really known for. She had the Virginia. There was a military school that would not let women in. Okay, and she was one of 8 women at Harvard Law School. And I want to read it to you so you can hear it because it's important, and I don't want to screw it up because she did that, but I want to get the right one because this is what she's most known for. Okay, this is Howard. Hold on, this is me skin. I put it down somewhere. I don't know where to put it. But I want you to hear it because it's important. Okay. Some of her biggest cases include women at the Virginia Military Institute. Okay, they wouldn't let women in, and she argued that case and she brought that down. So women in military schools, going to these private schools that were built for men, women can do that now because of her. Equal pay for men and women. She did that. Okay, Bush and Gore, she did that. She was not a game, and she was very gracious. She was gracious with it. She didn't flex. I probably would have flexed. She didn't do it like that. She had a lot of grace, and she was subtle. They call her a bridge builder. Okay, she didn't blow bridges up. She built bridges, and that is an art form. So my point is, Honor her. The life that we have is because of her. She's just as important to me as other historical figures, from Thurgood Marshall to Sojourner Truth, because in her day, she made our lives easier. Okay, so that's all for now. This is Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire. Please know that you are loved beyond measure, my sweet sister in success, and the brothers who love us and our allies. If we're fed by this word, please pay it forward and know that you're loved. And remember this: you're worth so much more than you have ever been taught to believe. Please make your voice be your vote. I love you. Goodbye for now.